CBS News political analyst John Dickerson as well. John, let's talk exactly about Jan's point here. How big is this Perry controversy, and how quickly does the campaign think they can put this behind them?
Well, if the Perry campaign was running along smoothly and all was going well, this might have been the kind of thing he could weather. And also, if he'd been in the race a little bit longer, when candidates have these kinds of stories in their background, if they've been in the race, they can kind of take care of them. But he's been having a very rough spot dealing with a number of difficult, troubled issues. And one of the problems with Perry, or any late starting candidate, has always been, are there these little explosions in their backgrounds? And so this is a problem he has to deal with. It distracts from his effort to get back on track. The best they can hope for in the Perry campaign is to somehow switch the subject onto some kind of ground where he has some more strength to talk about. But right now, it's a real problem.
Jan, Chris Christie, last week they were saying he was 50-50 on getting in. Is the campaign up to 55-45 or 60-40 at this point?
You know, what I was hearing over the weekend was that he was actually starting to see the real hurdles to him getting into this race, and it all comes down to timing. Because if you think about what Chris Christie would have to do if he announces his candidacy, and I'm told it'll be, if he's going to get in, we'll know at some point this week, probably early this week. He's got 3 months to put a campaign together, raise tens of millions of dollars, organize in those states, and then he's got to still campaign, do the debates, and all the other things that these candidates have to do. That is a huge, huge bar to him getting in. I think he got a little reality check over the weekend. That's why you saw some of the GOP establishment yesterday saying, this is not going to be so easy for him if he does get in.
John, does Chris Christie have given some of his moderate views, does he have a realistic path to the nomination if he decides to get in?
Well, there is a path. The question is, does that path exist with such a short amount of time? And in the states he's going to have to campaign in, they're not, a lot of the activists and voters that when you talk to them about Christie, they say, fine, sounds interesting, just another candidate. They're not in this frenzy and fervor that some in the Republican establishment have tried to whip up around a Christie candidacy. In fact, you detect a little bit of frostiness, which is to say, don't tell us who the superhero candidate coming in is going to be. We'll take care of vetting him ourselves. That creates a little bit of resistance, which is tough to get over with such a short period of time.
Before we go here, guys, Jan, as a keen legal observer, I wanted to ask you, the Supreme Court, as you know, comes back from recess tomorrow talking about the president's health care law. What happens then?
Well, obviously, big day today at the Supreme Court. You know, the first Monday in October, that's when the justices come back from their summer break and start deciding the cases that are going to occupy them for the rest of this term. One of the ones that could be absolutely huge, and I think that's an understatement, would be whether or not the justices take up that challenge to President Obama's health care reform law. That case is headed straight to the Supreme Court. Every single person in this country that follows it thinks the justices have to take it up. So what you're going to have happen this term in the Supreme Court, in addition to all the other cases they're considering, it's a big term, is whether or not that health care law, President Obama's signature achievement, is unconstitutional, whether states and people in the states can be ordered to buy health insurance. That case could well be decided at the end of June, which, of course, Jeff, intersection of political and legal, will be right in the middle of the presidential election.
All right, Jan Crawford and John Dickerson, thanks to both of you once again on this Monday morning.